Well, hope you excuse our technical difficulties, but we're so glad to be back with Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California. He is a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Now I can officially welcome you, Senator, to the table.
Senator, while we were tap dancing and waiting for you, we all had the same question, which is help us understand how a hearing like this really brings about reform or change when it comes to this immunity question.
I think it begins by shedding a big spotlight on the issue. I mean, similar to the funny business happening in Nebraska that you talked about in the previous segment, the people have a right to know. For as much as we've responded and reacted to the Supreme Court's immunity ruling in Congress and sort of in the political circles, I don't think the general public understands just how significant this is. Giving any president of the United States carte blanche to do whatever they want and get away with it. We can only imagine what would happen in a second Trump administration if the first administration is any indicator. I mean, our founding fathers established this democracy with the three co-equal branches of government and proper checks and balances, and the Supreme Court just undermines one of the most significant ones of them. So a lot to shed light on during the hearing this week, because what we don't need is Richard Nixon fist bumping the direction the country's moving in.
So to the point you just made about what this hearing hopes to accomplish, you had President Biden, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, calling for SCOTUS reform, if you will, back in July of this year. No immunity for crimes for a former president committed in office, term limits for Supreme Court justices, binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court. These are important reforms to put in place. How likely are we to see these kinds of reforms for a court that doesn't even want to have a conversation about its own ethics?
Exactly. And so I was honored to be with President Biden during that trip to the LBJ school in Austin back in late July when he unveiled his support for this package, which I'm proud to say is largely based on legislation that we've already introduced in the Senate. And so this hearing, again, shedding light on it, helping build that public support, we hope over time builds support for these common sense reforms. Given the types of rulings that we've seen come out of the Supreme Court in recent years, the general public is well aware. I mean, they're getting more and more extreme on more and more key issues to American society, and we need reform there. We need ethics reform. We need change there to bring about stability, not court stacking, and get them back to the place where people respect the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has credibility because that is been significantly jeopardized.
You know, Senator, it is it strikes me that on September 15th, the New York Times had this, what I would argue, if people read through it, it is a bombshell report specifically about Chief Justice Roberts, the immunity decision, but the other decisions that the Supreme Court issued, whether it's Donald Trump being able to be barred or not be barred from the ballot in Colorado, the January 6th related cases that the Supreme Court has weighed in on this past year. And it really details and pulls the layers back about how Chief Justice Roberts was instrumental in that. Is this reporting, are we going to see more layers peeled back in this upcoming hearing that dovetail with this reporting? Because to me, this is, I mean, just one excerpt from it. This September 15th reporting says this is Chief Justice Roberts wrote this in a memo to other justices in February. I think it likely that we will view the separation of powers analysis differently from the appeals court, he wrote. In other words, grant Mr. Trump greater protection from prosecution. This is something that the Chief Justice was very clear about with the other justices. It has not been this clear with the American people. So is this a key part of the hearing? And are we going to see subpoenas for any of the justices?
Look, I definitely believe this article is going to be referenced repeatedly during the hearing and other reporting that there's been on how the Supreme Court has been functioning of late. I mean, for anybody who questioned or doubted or thought Democrats were exaggerating when we were sounding the alarm with Trump's nominees and appointees, to the Supreme Court. We have the proof in the pudding, not just in the rulings that have come out. And I think, the Dobbs decision is just Exhibit A. There was a reason why the Republican Party, the Heritage Foundation, other conservative forces have been working for decades to stack the Supreme Court with extremist judges to get these rulings that they want changed to prior precedent. Areas of the law that we thought were settled for so long to shape our democracy in their vision. It's absolutely wrong. And it's not just the appointee process, the cases that have come before the Supreme Court, but now we see evidence of the Chief Justice who has ignored and denied requests for him to come meet the members of the Judiciary Committee. When it comes to the committee and speak to us in public, we welcome that. You want to come to us and speak to us in private, we welcome that. And he'll just continue to ignore, frankly, the will of the people because we're elected by the people. So we'll continue to shed light on how problematic the Supreme Court has been functioning and build the public support for common sense and clearly needed reforms.
Senator, I just want to shift gears a little bit. We've talked about the stakes of this upcoming election, particularly as it relates to the Supreme Court. Let's talk about what the Harris-Walz team is doing in order to win that election. Right now, a specific emphasis on Latino voters. Here was Governor Walz in Pennsylvania talking specifically about Puerto Rico and Hispanic Heritage Month. Take a listen.
Another proud part of our two states' heritage is we have a long history of being home to Puerto Rican and Latino families who chose to start their lives in our state. They grew our economy, and every single day, their presence in our states and our country make us stronger and better. And during this Hispanic Heritage Month, Vice President and I are celebrating the collective contributions of Puerto Ricans and the entire Latino community.
Here's the thing, Senator. That sound, when you hear it, is in such stark contrast to what it is we are hearing from Republicans about immigrants who come to states. In that case, Governor Walz was talking about his home state of Minnesota. But you know what Republicans have been out there saying about Haitian immigrants and the way in which they are changing Ohio an absolutely fictionalized and opposite from the truth story. When you put those messages side by side, it creates quite a contrast.
Yeah. The contrast couldn't be clearer. So for Latino voters across the country, I hope everybody's paying attention. We know what we'll get if Donald Trump wins this November. He's already announced, not threatened, but he's announced, mass detentions, mass deportation, wreaking havoc on communities and our economy, by the way, because we know so many of the essential worker jobs that Latinos fill and serve and sacrifice in. Versus the Harris-Walz administration, really not just a campaign for hope, but a campaign with specific plans to boost educational opportunity for young people. There's a significant percentage of the Latino electorate that's young. We skew younger. And so that is important. 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5 or so voters will be voting their very first presidential election. But we also know that it's economic opportunity that will continue in a Harris-Walz administration. You look at the numbers of the Biden-Harris administration, record low unemployment, the record jobs created, Latino unemployment, Latinos at work, and starting new businesses are at record levels. The contrast, to your point, could not be clearer.